Okay. Yes, we get the signal. We're live now. Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters, all over the world. hmm Share the message. Let everybody know this is a family gathering all over the world. My name is Kuabo Mabula, and then I'm going to be your host, your moderator of today. We're having videos as well, because as we ahead of celebrating African liberation, a lot of things happening in Africa. Mhm. A lot of moves happen in the continent. But share the message as we're playing this video of introduction. Pay attention to this slideshow while our guests, special guests, prepare to enter the studio. Roll the tape and share the message.
saw that thing so beautiful. She just hit my heart, oh. Full force and she got me like, I be like, baby, why you so fine? Gotta make you mine. So hard to find. Baby like, oh, how'd you do the thing? The way that you do it and she ain't even show nothing. She be walking around so confident, so heaven sent. I think she was meant to knock the daylight. Like, girl, you so fine. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah. Girl, you rockin' like, ooh, baby, so fine. Miss Baby, girl, you knock 'em dead. Sublime, super fine. She was never lying, strutting in the hills or her slides. Either way, eyes on her every single day, week, year. Everyone wondering how she does it with no fear. All that confidence, was it heaven sent? Does it come within? Does it come run out? I don't know. She'll just have them running out and in. Man, they want to sin, talking deadly sin with Mrs. Lady. I don't understand why she hit them like. Girl, you knock 'em dead. Oh, oh, oh. How you do it, things you do. Yeah, yeah. Baby, you knock 'em dead. I'm already saying.
Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters, kings and queens. As I say to you, watch this. Our great ancestor, Jomo Kenyatta, he said this famous quote, when the missionary arrived in Africa, when they arrived in Africa, we had our land. They taught us how to pray with our eyes closed. Yes. So when we realized they took the land and then we stay with the Bible, praying. So be smart. Never pray with your eye closed. Or if you pray, activate your spiritual mode so you can clearly see what's going on around you. But anyway, brothers and sisters, welcome to this amazing AKA show here at Radio Diamond. We broadcast live. And then my brothers and sisters are already sharing the message on social network. Please do so. Share the message because we're having a special announcement today as we're celebrating Mother's Day here in the UK. But anyway, that's just Mother's Day is every day of our life. Because at the end of the day, we all came from the womb of our great mothers. And then talking about the mothers, watch this video. What's happening? Congratulations to our family, to our queen mother in Namibia.
That has sent shockwaves through the corridors of Western power and ignited a fire of pride in the hearts of Africans everywhere. Namibia's freshly minted president, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, has thrown down the gauntlet. With the fearlessness of Burkina Faso's revolutionary lion, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, this trailblazing woman, Namibia's first female leader, has declared that starting April 3rd, 2025, US citizens will no longer waltz into her nation without a visa. Yes, you heard that right. The days of Western privilege on African soil are numbered, and Nandine Ndaitwah is leading the charge with a boldness that echoes the thunder of our ancestors. This is no timid policy tweak. This is a seismic shift, a roaring proclamation of sovereignty that reverberates from the dunes of the Namib Desert to the shores of the Atlantic. For decades, Namibia has flung its doors wide open to tourists from the United States and other Western nations, welcoming them with open arms and visa-free entry for up to 90 days. It was a gesture of goodwill, a strategy to bolster tourism, a lifeline for Namibia's economy, and a nod to the global image of a hospitable Africa. But no more. President Nandine Ndaitwah, barely a week into her historic tenure, has turned the tables with a policy rooted in the sacred principle of reciprocity. If Namibians must jump through hoops, endure humiliating visa interviews, and shell out exorbitant fees to visit the United States, then by the gods of justice, Americans will now taste the same medicine when they set foot in Namibia.
You heard it? Thanks for Donald Trump. Thanks for Donald Trump. So that's why my brothers and sisters in the United States begin to get our African citizenship, because Donald Trump is spoiling everything. Now you want to come to Namibia, you want to go through all this procedure because of Donald Trump. So, and then our Queen Mother standing up as she just swore in as the new president, the first ever female king president of Namibia. So, and then we have another one. That's why you need to be updated on what's going on. Watch this.
The Vice President has blasted Donald Trump for terminating the U.S. aid.
Somebody's asking about the outside world and foreign aid. And I've heard the president of the country you are studying in slashing aid. You see, one of the questions we have now, he hasn't asked himself, how much leaves our continent to his country? He hasn't asked himself that. They think it's just charity. It is not. At the right time, we'll also take action. And it will not be funny.
Did you see the mean faces? It will not be funny. So we're going to start retaliating. It's not be funny. And when our Queen Mothers are mad, so nobody can contain the power. And that's what's happening. The first ever vice president of Ghana, the Republic of Ghana. So, and then we watch another video. Just
As
so
a
you
powerful
understand.
symbol of sovereignty, identity, and alliances. For Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, a seemingly simple redesign of their passport signifies a transformative shift in their geopolitical stance. These three Sahelian nations, now unified under the Alliance of Sahel States, are preparing to launch biometric passports by January 29, 2025. This move not only introduces a technological advancement, but also marks a definitive break from the economic community of West African states as they forge a new regional identity. In a bold move, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger are set to introduce new biometric passports under the banner of the Alliance of Sahel States. This initiative marks a significant departure from the economic community of West African states, reflecting deeper political and security realignment in the region. The AES biometric passports, featuring the Alliance's insignia in place of the ECOWAS logo, symbolize the trio's independence from the 15-member bloc. These new passports aim to harmonize travel documentation by providing standardized identification across the AES region, simplify cross-border movement, and enhance global mobility with biometric technology that improves international recognition and security. Additionally, the shared branding strengthens regional ties and reflects the collective aspirations of the Alliance of Sahel States. While current ECOWAS passports remain valid until their expiration, citizens will gradually transition to the AES versions, completing the shift to this unified system. The decision to break away from ECOWAS was a pivotal moment for Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, following a period of intense political upheaval marked by military coups that installed junta-led governments in all three nations.
As you can see, brothers and sisters, that's why we're going to be celebrating African liberation, because we really, I know people say we're still on the movement, we're still on the way to be totally free, but some countries in Africa is not what it used to be 20 years ago, 30 years ago. They say enough is enough. I don't want you to come here in my line trying to bully me, and that's what's happening. And then our queen mothers are taking the leadership too. And that's why we brought our elders here to make the official announcement about what's going to be happening in the UK in May. What's going to be happening in the UK. And then a special message to our elders, to all of our queen mothers around the world. All of our queen mothers around the world, especially also in the UK, as they come in to support what's happening in May, because it's going to be something historical. And that's why, brothers and sisters, I want you to share the message, because we're having special guests right here in our village. Radio Diamond, aka show. Share the message, brothers and sisters. I will play one more time. So for you who just came here very shortly, this is the main topic of our show today. This is the main topic of our show today. A special message to all of our African queen mothers. And then a full update of the King Changambiris Maponga's tour in the UK. And that's why we've invited our elders, and we invite the special, those coordinator who making it, who's going to provide all the platform for you to come and celebrate one another. So I will play the tape one more time so you understand the special guest that we're going to be having in our village. But share the message, brothers and sisters. Roll the tape one more time.
She hit me like that. Saw that thing so beautiful. That she just hit my heart. Oh, that full force, and she got me like that. I be like, baby, why you so fine? Gotta make you mine. So hard to find. How'd you do the thing? The way that you do it, and she ain't even show nothing. She be walking around so confident, so.
Wow. Brothers and sisters, you see this beautiful slideshow our team prepared with the hard work and make sure everything is in details. As we're going to be doing a quick introduction, we're going to leave our elder to open up this show. Obviously, we have in our special elder, and then he's going to give us the go ahead to open up the show, because obviously, although we did the introduction, but in our African tradition, I can't stop the conversation. We have to allow the elder to create the room. So Baba Small's permission to open up this conversation. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone in the UK and around the African world. Of course, I have not the right to give permission, so we ask the ancestors of all African peoples to give us permission to engage in this discussion. So let it be. We've called on the ancestors. They know our presence. They live in us. We appeal to them to stand beside us as we take on this achieving space now, where we are saying to the whole world, Africa belongs to Africans at home and abroad. We will build the Africans that we want to see for our children and our future. We will no longer be slaves of imperialism or neocolonialism. So we ask the ancestors to let this program be. So Brother Alpha, what else do you want me to say?
Wow. Brothers and sisters, Baba Small already opened the conversation. We also have a special guest here. They've already been here before. Just a quick introduction. We go for our Queen Mother. Queen Mother Mirror, are you there? We need your image. There we go. We need your image. Just a quick introduction to the family, because I know it's your first time to be here in our village. Feel free. This is our home. This is our parliament. We have, now that we have in our elder Baba Small, we are waiting for another elder to join in, right in Zimbabwe. Feel free. The floor is yours. Tell us who you are.
Okay, so I am Amira Cole. I'm here in Bristol. At the moment, I'm supporting the Malcolm X Community Centre, which is very, very dear to my heart. I've started my career in community work from a very long time ago when I was at college, and I had a placement at the Malcolm X Community Centre, which is well, now internationally known. And I've gone from there to last year, this time, I was actually a counsellor, and I'm now back at the centre trying to get it up and running again, and also to engage to get back a lot of the cultural activities that used to happen in Bristol. When I was growing up, we had some wonderful leaders in Bristol who made sure we had our share of cultural events which kept us focused, and that hasn't happened for a long time. So to be involved in this you know, in the tour, the city tours for May is just amazing. And it's going to be one of the first things that we have brought back to the Malcolm X Centre in terms of a cultural family event.
Wow, wow. So up next, we got another special guest. He's representing the Pan-Africanist Congress movement. They be here for 50 years, holding an African Liberation Day. This is an activity to gather our family, just so we can understand the progress of Africa, the past, the present, and the future. So Ndugi Mali, the floor is yours. A quick introduction to the family.
Okay, yes. So Hamdiambo Jamal, greetings, kindred from the Pan-African Congress movement. My name is Imani Nassor, or Ndugu Imani Nassor, which means Ndugu means brother in Kiswahili or kin. I'm the London branch secretary of the Pan-African Congress movement. I'm an African spiritual life coach, and I've been involved in organization for my teens. So, like Dada Amira, I've been involved for quite a long time, and we are blessed to continue the tradition of Africa Liberation Day, and without halt, without break, since 1975, and with all the activities that we do for African people up and down the countries. We're a national organization. Pan-African Congress movement is a national organization based on the principles of race first and the Nguza Saba.
Wow. So, brothers and sisters, introduction is done. Share the message to the family worldwide. This is AKA Show here at Radio Diamond, bringing you the best of ourselves. Let's go to Baba James Smalls. As one of the elders, you walked with one of the greatest, from John Eric Clark, Professor John Eric Clark, to Omwale Malcolm X. So help us to understand our liberation as African, because people still not understanding that we came from long way. That's been you laid a foundation for so many of us to be here. Your warrior, your tenacity, your wisdom, and we're talking about Baba Lena Jeffrey, Dr. Laila Africa. Help us to understand the struggle of our African liberation then and now. The floor is yours, Baba Smalls.
Yes, Brother Alpha, and the African world again. We've been at war for over 3,000 years, Dr. Clark told us. We've been in a particular engagement for the last 500 years with so-called Western imperialism, colonialism, neo-colonialism. That war has caused a lot of harm to our continent, a lot of harm to our very nations across the world, from the Caribbean to Europe to all of the diaspora in North America to the continent itself. That our raw materials, our mineral resources have been exploited, stolen. Our critical leadership have been murdered, from Patrice Lumumba to the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah, to the assassination of the first president of Togo, to the killing of Amilcar Cabral, to we have been engaged in this conflict for self-determination, for African peoples to have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for themselves and their family, for us to have the right to exploit our own resources to provide the food, clothing, shelter, safety that our family needs, and to build the institutions that our nations need: schools, hospitals, roads, factory infrastructure. Someone else have used military force, assassination, and all kind of economic maneuvering internationally, World Bank, Monetary Fund, putting us in debt, slavery. creating debt that we could never pay off. And thus we've got to turn over our natural resources to them. We are trying to end all of that. And when we see what's happening with the Sahel states, we see what just happened in Namibia. We've seen it with the fight in Zimbabwe with Mugabe. We see it with Nelson Mandela and Winnie Mandela and all of those freedom fighters in the southern part of Africa. We see it with the liberation movement that took place. And there's a liberation movement, contrary to what people are trying to paint it, going on in the Congo right now. We have not been able to have independence or freedom in the Congo since the death of Patrice Lumumba. They're trying to make the struggle one about someone stealing gold and foolishness, when it's a struggle of ethnic sovereignty that people are fighting around. It's a struggle to unhinge the colonial and neo-colonial dominance of the wealth of Congo. And so we have an obligation to instruct and to inform our people of history. We have an obligation to instruct and inform our people of the pathways to freedom that's available to them. We have an obligation to excite the spirit of our people to resist tyranny at every level. And so I'm just here to loan my voice to those efforts towards the freedom of African peoples to enjoy their life on this planet like all other people, with the, like I said, the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, being in control of their own mineral and natural resources under their feet in their home places, to no longer have the intelligence apparatus of the West undermine their government to the point that they even take the life of our government officials. And so if people want to do business with Africa, come in the door with your hands open upwards. Come in the door where we can see what's in your hands. Come with your heart prepared to sit down and make an equitable treaty arrangement, an equitable business arrangement, like any human beings would do. And not come in to steal, to rob, to overthrow, to disorganize, to cause chaos in our communities. Give us the chance, so we are now taking the chance to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We are taking the chance to build the Africa that Africans want to see. I don't know how much more plain we can make that.
So Baba Smalls, obviously, you worked with the great Omwale Malcolm X, and then you were on the era of Dr. Luther King. Obviously, when we seen the work of Malcolm X and Dr. King and Professor Eric Clark, oftentimes we're not talking about the Queen Mothers behind the scene. You seen the pain of Betty Shabazz, or better known as Betty X. Help us to understand the struggle, the fight of our Queen Mothers before you actually send the message. Because now, for the struggle they've been through, we've seen the Vice President of Ghana, the first just now sworn in, Vice President of Angola sworn in. We've seen the Namibia. We've seen Sir Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. We've seen the Prime Minister of Jamaica. We've seen the Barbados. So we've seen the in Ethiopia, the President of Ethiopia. Help us to understand the struggle then and now. We've seen the flowers.
Let me step in. One, I didn't work with Malcolm. Met Malcolm once. Once Malcolm was assassinated, I became the imam over his new mosque. I was his sister Ella's bodyguard, personal bodyguard. I was a member of the OAAU. So that people be clear, I don't need Malcolm to enhance my work. Malcolm was extraordinarily great teacher, extraordinarily great organizer, an extraordinarily great leader. But nowhere in history have any of the brothers done this alone. They've always been a queen at their side. With Malcolm, it was Dr. Betty Shabazz. It was his sister Ella. It was who literally raised him after his mother was taken away. It was his extraordinary mother, who was a member of the UNIA and who worked at her husband's side. She was the secretary of a UNA chapter and an editor of one of their newsletters. So all of these women in Malcolm's life molded him, along with the men. But one thing we got to do is not try to create an imbalanced society where white folks make it either or. It's either the woman is so too great or the men is too great. No. What we've got to recognize is the African concept of the family include the woman and the men. And the degree to which we have imitated white men in power and have excluded our women from having access to sharing that power is the degree to which we have suffered as a world power, as a world people. And I think now we're seeing more and more efforts, on the part of our communities to elect our mothers to critical leadership, presidency, vice presidency across the African world. That is not new. You're showing Mother Winnie Mandela, who I did have the chance to meet and a chance to work with. Dr. Betty Shabazz, I had a chance to meet and work with until she left this earth. Sister Ella Collins, I had a chance to work with all of her life until she passed away. But if we go back in history, we've always had great women leaders. We need to increase the numbers and give greater access to our women to the halls of power so that their minds can now be felt in how nations are run in Africa. We've always had the Queen Nzinga. We've always had the Nandi. We've always had the Ya Santua. We always had, wow, you can just go back and name them. There's a list that's not very short at all of great African leaders in our history. During this period of colonialism and imperialism and the emergence out of colonialism and imperialism, we have made the role of men too much up front, with not enough of the women mind having access to running our governments. And I think that has changed dramatically. It is beginning to change more every day. And we have to be clear not to get caught in that Western thing of male or female. It's both. It's the African family. That's how we built the world we built before we met the invaders. Now to remove the invaders, not only from our land, but from our mind. Matter of fact, removing the invaders from our mind is a greater task than removing the invaders from our land. And so our mothers have an extraordinary role in that. And we are seeing that whenever they get the opportunity to govern the nation states that have been created over the last 100 years. And so there's nothing more than I can say. The African mother has always been critical to creation. In my understanding of reality, the first creation of divinity on this earth as human was an African woman, and everybody proceeds from her. That's not mythology, that's scientific reality. And so we have to make sure we constantly replicate her role in being the mother of the earth, that her intellect, her skills, politically, economically, and culturally, get the opportunity to help us design our new societies. And I think that is occurring now all over the African world, but we have to speed it up even more. I was even blessed to work with Sister Winnie Mandela. You know how that feels when she came to America. And when she was having critical problems with her government back home who would not let her fly, we were able to do what we had to do in America to make sure she could get on those airplanes and go back home to her family. So our women have always been our critical element in the leadership of the African world. We have to make sure that we include and protect her in all aspects of the governing of the African world. Not marginalized. We've done a lot of marginalizing of our women. because we took on the behavioral mantle of white supremacy, white male supremacy. Black men took that on. And we need to set that down and burn it. And return to the communal, collective, cooperative, African structure of governance wherever we are on the continent. That no one could talk about governing a society and leave their women behind. You never win. You'll never win. And so I think that is changing in Africa, and we're getting an opportunity to see that change.
Wow. So, Baba Smoke, obviously, this is a special show because we know a special and massive historical gathering that's going to happen here in the UK. And that's why we brought all the coordinators that will facilitate this amazing gathering. But before we got that, Baba Smoke, oftentimes you talk about spirituality. And then we've seen the rising of our people globally, whether it's in Jamaica, Barbados, whether in the United States, in Europe, in Africa. So help us to understand the spiritual side of this awakening. Because some people, they think this is just by accident. Do you reckon it's about time and the spiritual forces are really taking over our bodies? The ancestors' spirits are taking over our body, just so we see what happened in Burkina Faso. You look at Thomas Sankara. You see what happened in Mali. Used to be an empire. So help us to understand the spiritual side of this awakening globally.
Well, let's be clear one thing. Spirituality is not religion. And we need to make that clear. Spirituality is not religion. Spirituality is hearkening back to the reality of our ancestors. Spirituality is your fundamental cosmic, ecological reality relationship. Our ancestors, when they created those systems that we use to have access to what we call divinity, we're talking about the whole universe as being divinity. All of creation is divinity. I think the Ewe call it Sogbe Lisa. The totality of creation is the divine. Not a man, not a woman, not a tree, not a house. The totality of cosmos, all of the stars, the moons, the Milky Way, everything beyond our imagination, including the earth and ourselves, we make up that thing we call divinity. But it has laws, and it has regulations, and it has processes, and it has systems. And our ancestors studied those over the centuries, the multiple centuries. And then they began to interpret those laws. What is the laws of the movement of the moon and the sun? What is the laws that is in the stars and its constellations and formulation? What are the laws that is emanating from the earth that tell us what food to eat that's not poisonous and what food to eat that is healthy? What are the laws that tell us what our relationship is to water? What is our relationship to zinc? What our relationship is to the 400 plus minerals in our bodies? How do we learn to create a behavior towards one another that creates harmony and balance, not only in the human family, but in the ecological family, the cosmological family, and the universal family? That's what the traditions that we're calling spirituality is all about. And that's not far-fetched. You study any of our systems, and we're talking about nature. We're the things we call gods. We never call them gods, but we talk about in the Orishas of the Yoruba, we talk about the forces of nature. In the Obasun of the Akans, the forces of nature. In the ancient Kemet, when we're talking about the Netters, we were talking about the forces of nature. Those powers and natures that we use as partners to live as humans in a harmonious, peaceful way on the planet. How not to abuse nature, but to complement nature who complements us. How we can understand cosmology and understand what light means to our life, what that radiation that emanates from all over the cosmos. What does it mean to our living? What is our relationship to it? How do we create practices that complement and enhance that relationship? And we can call those practices religion, but we got to be careful that we don't fall into the Western concept of religion where you are separate from existence and there's something up there and you down here. That's not the African tradition. Our tradition is that we are one. You and me are inseparable. You know, we say Ubuntu, one word. We say in the Yoruba, we have other words. In the Akan, we have other words. In every language, we have a word that tell us that we are one existence. And we must have a methodology that builds the kind of relationship that is communal, collective, and cooperative. And is healthy for the planet, healthy for the humans on the planet, healthy for the cosmos that feel the energy to the planet. That's what spirituality is about. Not a belief in a God or belief in a group of gods, but spirituality is about understanding the fundamental ecological, cosmological reality and our role in it. Study any of our systems, our cultural systems, and that's what it's about. That means knowing thyself, knowing our ancestors, knowing that our mother and father, when they gave birth to us, they gave birth to themselves, knowing that we are the very ancestors we pour libations to, knowing that in our culture, the reason we have outdooring 5 to 8 days after a child is born is so the elders and the priests of the community and the family can see which ancestor has returned in this body. That's not just a ceremony, that is a reality. That is a knowing. And so we have to take serious. The culture is the educational system that explains our spiritual concepts to us so that we'll know how to practice our behavior of living in harmony with the rest of the universe.
So Baba Small, so then you talk about the relationship, because obviously for so long the colonial power trying to divide our family, they even feminized our brothers and sisters worldwide. They became so feminist. Help us to understand both the relationship, whether it's through marriage or through a brotherhood between the man and the women, because we've seen a lot of videos of you say it's not accident. It meant to happen. The relationship between the man, the black man, and the African men, the African women, the melanated men, the melanated women, it's unbreakable. Whatever you're trying to destroy, it's unbreakable. Help us to understand what you meant by that.
Yeah, and now I don't want to mystify in any way our culture. I don't want to mystify our spiritual system, because it is not mystical at all. It's not. Only time a thing is mystery is when you don't know it. And to the degree that the knowledge of our ancestors' spiritual way, and I don't even like the term spiritual, I'd like to throw it out the window. It is the African sacred science, our sacred understanding of ecology, our sacred understanding of cosmology. And we're trying to imitate the universe. The universe is the mother and the father, the totality of existence, the totality of creation, with all of its governing laws that keep the planets from bumping into each other, that keep everything from bursting into flame, that keeps the water purifying the earth, that keeps the plant coming up with the nutrients necessary for us to survive. All of those things, our understanding of those things inform what our relationship as male and females should be. And we, in the history, have shown that family has been the core of the African nation building. Always, anywhere you look in history, it's the man, woman, child. And we've left that symbol over and over, though other cultures have taken that symbol and misused it and mystified and mythified to the degree that it has become out of foolishness. But the African understand that a man cannot have a baby without the woman. A woman cannot have a baby without the man. And that together they must nurture that new aspect of themselves they call their child, so that they can keep going and being an extension of the very first spark of a human being to ever exist. Not to make it too scientific or complicated, but it's that simple. And we knew what we were doing. It wasn't just mythology. We created societies of secrets for the men. We created societies of secrets for the women. The only secret was that you would be taught how to be an adult in society. Men were taught how to be male. What is your function in society? The secret society weren't there to say, I'm in a secret society. The women were not taken off in the bush to say, I'm in a secret society. They were taught, what is your role as an adult male in the society we're trying to build? What is your role as an adult man in the society we will build? Those things we call secret society today, we call them universities. You know, So we just have to be real. We have to have common sense. Get away from the white mystery gods and his mystery religion. The reason he make it a mystery because he doesn't know what it is. And then he governs you because you're confused in mystery and think something outside of you going to come down and touch you. No, you're going to be free when you lift this hands for freedom. You're going to be free when you devote this mind to come up with the ideas to create the freedom space for yourself. You're not going to be free because some God's going to float down out of the sky from somewhere. That has not happened. And nobody pray like we pray. We pray in one religion 5 times a day. We pray in the others all day. And nothing changes except for the enemy. They keep defeating us while giving us these methodologies for approaching God. No, our ancestors, we are God having a human experience. Our ancestors says, unless you imitate the divine dictums, you will not win anything. Anything. You have to master the laws of living together, the laws of the universe that our ancestors have given us. In order for us to be free, we got to become what we were before somebody took away that freedom. What type of African were we psychologically, intellectually, and physiologically before the enemy came and diluted and polluted us? If you think you're going to take the dilution and pollution and lead the African world simply because you got a black face or you can wear African clothing, you have seen how much a failure that has been. You have to return to the psychological and spiritual and intellectual being that you were before you were tampered with through tyranny, murder, and genocide called slavery and colonialism. If you're not clear enough on that just having brown skin, black skin is not enough to say I'm an African, because that's not what makes you African. That may be a prerequisite, the melanin, but that is not what makes you. Understanding the wisdom of the ancestors that they spend millions of years learning on how to be human is what makes you African.
Wow. So it's like listen to Baba Smalls is like a stay in the tree in the middle of the jungle and just, you having the fire over there, fishing, flying around, birds. Reminds us, when we stay with our grandpas and just stay and listen. I mean, just flow with the words. Brothers and sisters, again, we just have to stay mute. Just like there's no way. Share the message. I know my brothers and sisters are sharing in their own TV page. We allowed it. It's no problem at all. The information has to be spreaded. So, Baba Small, we have in our brothers and sisters, our elders here in the UK. It's going to be a massive gathering. Brothers and sisters, I shared the Eventbrite link. As you can see right in your screen, brothers and sisters, this is a JOSHUA Maponga UK tour coming to the UK. Bristol, brothers and sisters, you have to end down Manchester the 25th. Then we're going to be having the African Liberation Day, Birmingham, on the 26th, as you can see right here. Then on the 1st of June, we're going to be having London to closing the tour. So each event catered to bring our family together. And then for the first time, we're going to be having Baba Jem Smalls, Joshua Maponga, Changambiri Maponga, and Her Majesty Mambokadzi right here simultaneously in the UK, physically, not virtually, but physically. So before we pass on the mic to the coordinators, that's why we invite the coordinator to explain to you, brothers and sisters, all from now till March, all show is going to be about promotion. We want you to get the ticket, understanding that we are bringing the elders. Be a part of this event, this gathering. This is gonna be historical. Having the elders coming in from far away to share the words of wisdom with us here in the UK. So, Baba James Smalls, what can people expect? Because obviously it's been about 4 or 5 years without you coming to the UK. What can our people expect from Baba Smalls coming to the UK?
I think the main thing is my being myself. We try to teach the historical truth. You know, I'm always saying history will erase the mystery. Mystery is when you don't know something. And so what history does is explain those things you don't know so that you know what you need to know in order to do what you need to do. And what we need to do is carry on the process of liberation. Liberation of our intellect, liberation of our spiritual self, liberation of our physical self, liberation of our geographical community, liberation of our children and the minds that they're becoming, and through sharing knowledge, liberation of the minds of brothers and sisters that share your space. You're not going to have freedom of your body until you have freedom of your mind. You're not going to have freedom of your mind until you know this history, which is the story of our ancestry, because that informs and instructs us of what has happened to us, why it happened to us, what we must do to keep it from ever happening to us that way ever again.
Wow. So move on real quick to Bristol. Move on to Bristol. We have the main coordinator that is putting all this tour together in Bristol. Sister Amira, the floor is yours. What can we expect from you to bring in Bristol? Because we are coming, whether by plane, by sweep, by carpet, whether by car, crawl, run, walking, we are coming.
I hope so. We'll do our best to make it happen. And it's just been amazing, you know, listening to Baba Small talk there, because originally, as you may know, Bristol wasn't even one of the cities that they were going to come to. So, that the first choice was the date that we got, which wasn't originally a date that was going to be available to Bristol. So, you know, when we talk about the power of the ancestors, I just think it's just meant to be. For us, it's really amazing to be able to host this event, particularly at Malcolm X as well, the center, and particularly at this time, because we are doing a whole celebration, you know, sort of, it was meant to be a week, it's now gone into a month. And I think we're just gonna take everything that we do as a celebration in terms of Malcolm X 100. And so for us in the day, for the 24th, we want to focus on our young people, and we want to in terms of educating them a bit more about African Liberation Day, you know, a bit more about what that is about, you know, through different mediums, and then to have the tour to come to Bristol and to have the amazing speakers in the evening. That would, you know, I think that day is going to be wonderful. But we have a number of events that is happening. We've, you know, prior to that, on the 17th of May, we have is a health check where people are able to come along and get their blood pressure checked, get their, you know, their liver checked, all kinds of different ailments which we get as we get older. Well, not so much as we get older now, because things are reaching us as a younger age. But that's going to happen on the 17th, along with I don't know if you've seen about this, the petition to do, or the petition and a request for an inquiry into the subnormal schoolings of Black people. And we've got a brother, Noel, who is leading that. He's going to be down here on the 17th in Bristol, you know, sharing his story about being put into a special school as a Black child in the UK, and the impact that's had on his life, along with other people. And there'll be a panel to talk about that. So that's going to happen here on the 17th. And then on the 10th, we have a reparations groundings, which is going to happen again at the Malcolm X, in terms of looking at, you know.
So another question. Another question to you. Yes. Obviously, this tour, we're talking about having this three giants of the motherland of Africa. So, yes. What means to the city? What brings to the city having these three giants physically in Bristol? What benefit that Bristol will gain from having these three?
I can't remember in my time ever having. I mean, this would be amazing. This is honestly, it's just even just that little talk there from, you know, from Baba Small. I think it would be so inspirational. I think having grown up in Bristol, and as I said, as I was growing up, we had some wonderful leaders, and we did have people who came into Bristol and spoke and was able to share their wisdom and their knowledge with us in that way. That's not happened for years. We have generations of young people who, you know, don't even want to know about their history, more or less to understand how it impacts on them now, how it impacts on the decisions they make and the things that they do. So, you know, to have three great speakers like that, you know, it's amazing. And being here in Bristol and seeing so many things happen, you know, I know that all around in every city there are things that are happening with our elderly, with our young people, with our males, with our females. But actually this tour puts everything will put everything in perspective in terms of people who want to be enlightened, and maybe even some people are just lost. And when they hear them, you know, them speak, at least between the three of them, at least, you know, something will be said that will touch them, and that will awaken that consciousness for them. So it really is amazing to have them here, and I'm sure it'll be something that's spoken about for a long, long time after, you know, once it's passed. But for me, on a personal level, to just be involved in making this happen, it's more than I would have ever expected. But again, I think that is part of my transit of my path, I should say, you know, considering the amount of different things that I have done, and I always seem to end up back at the Malcolm X Centre. So, you know, this is my journey, and I'm embracing it, and I hope that others will embrace it.
Wow. So, brothers and sisters, up next, Manchester, the 25th of May, and then we have in the main coordinator, Ndugu Ao is pioneer of Pan-Africanism, pioneer of educational revolution here in the UK. He walks along so many of our great elders ancestors such as Nana Bumso, so many of our elders. So, Ndugu Al or Elder Al, what can we expect this tour in in Manchester, having these three giants come and visit? Do you have everything prepared? Venue prepared, food, in light to the family, what's going to happen in Manchester the 25th? Although the fly is already on the screen. The floor is yours.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Yeah. Baba Small is a giant, as you says, and first time I heard Baba Small is it's about 1992, and he was giving a talk on African spirituality, and a white woman get up and asked a question about African spirituality, and Baba Small returned the question to her, yeah, and the white lady said that African spirituality is probably the oldest spiritual system in the world, and then he gave his lecture on African spirituality. I had that little cassette for years, and that taught me so much about African spirituality. Before that, African spirituality was like, I came from Jamaica. It's it's in the back door, it's not the front, yeah. It wasn't something things that people talk about positively. And I learned about spirituality from other people. I saw spirituality from the Chinese and from the Indian. And then when Baba saw do that thing about African spirituality, I know I seen Baba Small last time with Abino Bello in the African Liberation Day, probably about 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah. Baba Small has been my teacher. I listened to some stuff by His Majesty Mapongo about environmental, how African can protect the environment and the distribution of land and stuff. The Europeans destroyed everything. You destroyed the planet, destroyed it, polluted the air, everything, the seas, everything. So this is the sort of thing that people need to know to restore the planet back into order and harmony. Wow. So these are things, yeah. So yeah.
So talking about the event in Manchester, obviously, what about the logistic? Everything in place? Because obviously, Baba Small needs to know, because we don't want Baba Small to get there and then he don't know what to do. So we need to secure. We need to now we need to convince Baba Smalls that everything is secure. Like the African way of receiving everybody. So we don't want to do the European way of putting Baba Small in the very expensive hotel like Hilton Hotel. We give him money to the Hilton family, and then give him chicken and chips and kebabs. We don't want. So that's why Baba Small needs to know if he's gonna have any panda jam or any agusi soup or rice and peas prepared to him. So
yeah. My daughter is a great cook. You'll be having jollof rice, pounded yam. She's a brilliant cook. She's married to a Igbo fellow. So she's a great cook. So you'll be having some pounded yam. You can have some Caribbean food as well, green banana, all the rest of it, So I'll be cooking too. I'll be cooking for Baba Small. I'm not a bad cook myself. So yeah. You won't be staying in a hotel. You'll be staying with me, yeah, in Manchester anyway.
So
everything is ready. Everything is ready. Everything is ready.
I think foreseeing that you convince Baba Smalls, because obviously some people they're sending Baba Smalls to different places, but at least now it's secure that he's gonna stay with the family. So moving to Birmingham, obviously the PACM is one of the main organizer of this tour. Unfortunately, we might gonna have His Majesty Maponga, but we understand the level of internet in Zimbabwe is not really that great. So, and plus we also have the lack of electricity that is going on out there. Hopefully, we might gonna have him on air live. If not, he's definitely gonna be here often until May to promote the tour, obviously, because he's one of the main faces, as long as Baba James Smalls and Her Majesty Mambokazi. So talking about Birmingham, the 26th, we have Ndugu Imani. Please enlighten the family. What's going to happen in in Birmingham. And why are you doing the ALD? 50 years and you're still standing, the PACM as an organization. What's going to happen in Birmingham so you can convince Baba Smalls that he's going to be okay? And then plus, maybe you can just push him, say Baba Beanie is going to be over there with him as well. The floor is yours.
Yes, Santi Sana, thanks very much. First of all, I must say Shukamore MZ Small. So, I must greet you properly, Elder. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be anywhere with you and to hear you speak and have you teach us. Yes, so in Birmingham on the 26th at the Legacy Center of Excellence, the Pan-African Congress Movement will be holding our 50th African Liberation Day, and this African Liberation Day is particularly special, as we said, because it's the 50th. So since 1975, the Pan-African Congress Movement has been holding African Liberation Day, which has been started by the Organization of African Unity, by the Liberation Committee of the Organization of African Unity, before it became the African Union, much decades later, and was set at a time where Africa was still under colonial rule. Well, still is under colonial rule. We can argue we're starting to see freedom now, starting to see the vestiges of freedom, but was under physical occupation. And so African Liberation Day on the 25th of May, and so that was held in Africa, but around the world in the diaspora. And the organization Pan-African Congress Movement started in 1974, and so started from that point to hold Africa Liberation Day, to that time for Africans to come together to strategize, to think, to learn, to heal, to get together and rededicate ourselves for the liberation of Africa. And at the time in the 70s, that was physical support for the liberation movements in Namibia, in Tanzania, in Sudan, anywhere that there was in Angola, anywhere where there was liberation, Mozambique, where there was liberation movement still happening. So we had those who had been forced out of the countries and had to be in exile would come to Africa Liberation Day, would come and would reason with the Pan-African Congress Movement, and we would support them. But Africa Liberation Day isn't just say about Pan-African Congress Movement, it's about many organizations who support and attend that as well. So it's about African people coming together, and this is what this Africa Liberation Day is also demonstrating as well, because this whole tour has incorporated the African Liberation Day. Usually the African Liberation Day would be our main focus, but when the ancestors moved and said that there was opportunity for Jankabiri and Maponga to come over and that he was to come over in May, it seemed perfect to say that let's try and incorporate that, even just attend to Africa Liberation Day, and that grew into a tour. And then we was able to say, let's ask, MJ Small, Professor Small, to if he would attend as well. We knew that he wanted to come to African Liberation Day. He's been to African Liberation Day and have supported African Liberation for so many years, but also because of our great elder and leader of the African Caribbean Self-Help Organization, Benny Brown, and his dear partner Mama Sansa. He wanted to see them as well, because we know that unfortunately Elder Benny, who has been such a powerhouse in the UK scene and across the world of Africa liberation, has inspired so many of us, is facing health challenges. And I know that that MJ, Professor Small, wanted to come to Birmingham to physically be with his dear comrade and brother and spend some time with him, because they've communicated phone and video, but he wanted to be there. So we wanted to make sure that we did everything to make that happen, but also to say that this tour is not just the PACM, it's the Union of the Angolans in the Diaspora, it's the Rebirth of the Griot, it's the Malcolm X Center Management Committee, and it's the Farmers of Thought, Elder Maponga's own organization, and Majesty Mabukadi's organization as well, all coming together. We're all coming together to put on the tour and Africa Liberation Day. So it truly is an African and diaspora and an African diaspora event. We have, you know, the brothers and sisters from the continent. We have those from the elder, from our great elder from USA coming over, and all the others around the globe who will attend. But people have to understand that, really get this clear. They're actually going to be here. This will not be by video link. They're physically going to be here. So you need to be here. So, you know, African Liberation Day it's held on the 25th, and that's what and that's when it's going to be at the tour in Manchester at the West Indian Centre on Carmel Road, 74 Carmel Road, actually, you know, historic centre. And so there the PACM you know, has a branch, and so he's working with the community to put that on. And then on the 26th, the following day, in Birmingham at the seismic and well-known Centre of Legacy Centre of Excellence, from 12 p.m. doors open until 10 p.m. the Africa Liberation. All three will be in presence. Her Majesty Mabukadi Aluko, MZ Professor Small, and His Royal Highness Changabiri Maponga, and where we're carrying on our theme of the Grand African Renaissance, very much in line with what MZ Smallwoods has been teaching us this today, about us returning to ourselves. That we know that in order for us to develop, for us to have our liberation, we must change ourselves, and we must take on this wave of African consciousness that's happening across the world, and we must embody that, and we must come back to ourselves. We must come back to communalism. We must come back to our ways of understanding African sacred science that underpins all things, so that we can truly be unified and that we can truly move forward. And yes, as the show for today, you know, about our mothers, about our sistering, you know, we talk about Mama Africa. She is our birth. She is the woman. She is a center. She's a center, the central part of that, and that partnership of the male energy and the female energy, of Al-Sar and Al-Set, of Shu and Tefnut. You know, these are central to us in our understanding, so that we come back to that full holistic understanding of ourselves, and break away from the indoctrination. It hasn't destroyed it within us, because you can't destroy a divine being having a human experience, but you can make them get distracted. You can make them forget. You can make them not believe in themselves and fall away from that. And so that's what's going to be at the African Liberation Day. So there will be, as you can see, it's in backwards, so you can't see, but there will be stalls. There will be other speakers. There will be performers. There will be representations from organisations across the UK, and there will be messages of solidarity from across the world by video link. And also, you know, our time to sit and reason and hear the wisdom of our great, you know, champions of African liberation, that we are so honoured and blessed that they've agreed to be with us and be part of this UK tour.
And then, last but not least, London. So what's going to happen in London? So it's going to be the closing day, which is going to be the 1st of June. So as everything is 1st of June, sorry. As everything is prepared for London,
all
Ndugu Imani.
prepared in London. We are at the Tottenham Community Sports Centre from 4 to 8 p.m. Again, just like Bristol, just like Manchester, there's London, the final part of this tour. Again, with this ongoing theme of Africa liberation, but also what His Royal Highness Chagabiri Maponga will be doing with taking us, through and teaching us and giving us concepts and understanding on African royalty, on the land in Africa, and about repatriation, about reparations, about African sacred science, about our communalism, and about the connection between, us in the diaspora and those in Africa, making that stronger. That's why it's called the From Africa to the UK tour, because it's not only physically is His Royal Highness coming from Africa to the UK, it's also about us spiritually and about us culturally making those ties stronger, rededicating ourselves and having our royalty, our leadership to help guide us and have that connection, as Dada or Sister Amira was saying, about what they're going to be focusing in Bristol, about the youth, bringing them in there. So we really need, again, we got plenty of seats, plenty of tickets, but you're not going to see this gathering of leadership and Africans together. We haven't seen anything like this for about 6-7 years, and we definitely haven't seen it in the last 4 years. So we got to come out of our house and actually buy these tickets and actually be present. It's not going to be filmed. It's not going to be live streamed. You're not going to see live stream from Bristol, Manchester, Africa Liberation Day, and London. You need to be there physically and feel that energy, and feel the wisdom being imparted, and us coming together in love, and all the stall holders that are going to be at every single event. So we're circulating that Black pound, that African pound, building our business, sharing, talking with one another, linking with with another, strategizing. And as I said again, all those organizations, it's not just the Pan-African Congress movement, coming together to make this happen. And we are just allowing the ancestors to move. And when they move, we just step out of the way and let them guide.
Wow. Brothers and sisters, all I want to say, please, there's no any excuse. If Baba Smalls going to fly from Ghana to New York to come here, so you don't have an excuse. If you're in Bristol, don't come and send us the link. You need to show up physically. If you in Manchester, it's physically. If you in Birmingham, we all have to galvanize ourselves to support our elders. If you in London, show up. So now that Baba Small heard all the planning, Baba Small, what message you want to send to the organizers? Because just like you the first you came here, shared your wisdom. I know you're not going to say as much because we have to keep the best to hear you physically. So, what is your message to all these coordinators? Because we're talking about different organizations, young people come on board, the elders, the queen mothers. What is your message to them, Baba Smalls?
Oh, to my sister from Bristol, I first came to Bristol, my goodness, it must have been back in the 80s, and with Paula Bina. And we were sleeping on the floors of different people's homes. And we did a tour of London. We did like about 7 cities of UK, rather. And Bristol was at the center of that. And that time we were trying to find sites where enslavement and slave trading had taken place. And we found that Bristol was a virtual museum. So I'm looking forward to coming back to Bristol. And of course, in Ndugu Imani and in Ndugu Al, we've been together for a long time. I think I first came to African Liberation Day. I don't even remember the year. It must have been mid-'80s. Dr. Clark, Dr. Jeffrey, meeting with Brother Pepper meeting with Brother Beanie, and getting to know those great giants, and to watch how the movement has grown over the decades. The work done in Congo, the work done to establish the concept of our spiritual essence in Birmingham, to begin to let people know that. And I want to praise this leadership. This has been a consistent, Brother Al has been consistent. Sometimes he used to worry me too much calling, but he's a consistent revolutionary leader. Imani is a consistent organizer. I'm just proud to be a part of their effort to help further the liberation of our people. So I'm looking forward to being back in the UK. I'm looking forward to seeing Beanie. You know, most of the times that I come, the last few times I stayed at Beanie's home, I ate at his table. We sat up late nights talking, knowing we had to get up and go to the center the next day. So I'm looking forward to seeing Beanie. I'm looking forward to seeing Pepper Kai. I'm looking forward to seeing other elders I have not seen in so many years. Sister Doreen and others, because I feel the UK is kind of like a second, third home. Ghana being the second, the UK being the third home, because of the strength of the people of the PACM, the strength that it takes to hold a movement together for this many years, and assisting so many of the leaders in the overall world movement through these years. So I'm just honored that they want me to be a part of this great moment in time.
So, Baba Smalls, obviously talking about the unity, because back then, even happened sometimes. We seen Jamaica do one thing on the side, Ghanaians another thing, do another thing on the side, and then you see Angolans on the other side. Then you see the white power structure say, "Oh, the white people, the black people in Africa, they don't really like you, Americans, African people in America." You've seen the divisions. We've seen the division. Now it's like people are coming together. They're breaking the borders. Even spiritually, they're breaking the borders. Help us to understand, as this is a part of the Sankofa spiritual movement that is happening, because we're seeing people are just coming together. And then this tour is not just about Jamaica. It's about Zimbabwe, Angola, Mozambique. Is about Barbados. People are just coming together. South Africa, Tanzania. So help us to understand.
Yeah, well, the coming together has always been there. That's Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is not an organization. Pan-Africanism is a concept of unity. And so I think our people are beginning to understand that now, that there is not a group called the Pan-Africanists. Pan-Africanism is the concept of unity of all Africans from across the globe. And I think that we have, those of us who, I am both a nationalist and a Pan-Africanist. In my geopolitical fight in the North America, that's a nationalist struggle. In my world fight to unite the African liberation process, that's the Pan-Africanist struggle. And we've got to be both of those things all the time. And so I think what's beginning to happen with the new medium, social media and others, where we could communicate more immediately and more broadly, that's helping the coming together. You know, because we've always been we've always had that trend. We've had the Peter Tosh singing Mother Africa. We've had Bob Marley, who used his voice to bring us together. We had the Malcolm X, who traveled to use his voice to bring us together. We had the Nkrumahs. We have to listen to them more. We had the Nyomo down in Namibia. We had those voices trying to keep us tight. We had the Maurice Bishop before they murdered Maurice in Grenada. We had those voices always calling for this Pan-African unity. We've always had the enemy playing divide and conquer, and he's still doing it. You know, you've got some in America saying, I'm foundational Black Americans, and we don't want to have nothing to do with Pan-Africanism. But they're minority and insignificant. And sometimes we give the insignificant minority too much play. And we don't look at the majority who is struggling for true Pan-African victory, true Pan-African development. And so I think there's a movement. The movement is not a new movement. It is the movement that your generation, Brother Alfie, the generation that's coming after you, your generation is learning how to use this technology to expand the information that is going to grow the movement even bigger around Pan-African unity. And I think that's the part that's important, that the younger generation, the best generation we've ever produced in Africa and in the African world, that generation is now learning how to use technology, use communications to reach our people, to inform them that there's no other way except Pan-Africanism. There's no other way except African world unity, economically, politically, and culturally, that we're going to have freedom. We must do that in order to have freedom. The African in the UK must know that the African in the US and the African in the Caribbean and the African on the continent are all thinking and aspiring to the same thing, the total liberation of African people and the total liberation of the continent of Africa itself.
Wow. So, brothers and sisters, share the message for all of our brothers and sisters that is playing in their YouTube channel. Do so, because this is free information. So, Baba Smalls, last but not least, obviously, this show is catered as well for you to send a direct message to our Queen Mothers. But let's brighten and says to the African melanated family in general, worldwide. What is your message to our mothers that's still fighting to preserve our family, to stand for our culture, for our values? What is your message to the mothers, to all the fathers out there that have been standing up and being the provider and fighting to protect our family, as you being a father, a great father, a great grandfather, a great teacher, a great servant of our communities globally? What is your message to the African family globally?
The message to our family, to our mothers, to our great sisters who are now assuming major leadership across the African world: we are willing to die for you. We are willing to die for you in order to protect you so that your mind and your consciousness can give birth, rebirth to a new African consciousness that we see coming from the leadership of our sisters and our mothers. We're now assuming the mantle of power in political centers. Know that there are those of us who are willing to die for you and to protect you and to stand behind you and beside you, and when necessary, come in front of you to let you know we will be your shield. Black men, that is our job, to shield our mothers. We'll take the first bullets for you. That's what the Black man has to be willing to do. Freedom or death have to be our mantra. Our great Dessalines in Haiti told us that before he died. Freedom or death. There's nothing in between that. That's our mantra. It has nothing to do with age. I was saying this when I was 20. I'm still saying it that I'm almost 80. You know, the rules don't change. Mothers are mothers. And you've been held down too long. It is your time to lead your family. It is your time to give us the guidance of an Aset, a Yasantua, and Nzinga, to bring that back and to walk in partnership with your man. we're no longer willing to accept the European model of womanhood. Show the world how to be a woman. Show the world how to be the mother. You know, we are the model for humanity, and our women is the leader of that modeling. You know, and so we've got to be clear that we are giving new birth to African consciousness, and only mother can give that birth. Rebirthing African consciousness, politically, economically, culturally, and spiritually. Rebirthing African consciousness, politically, economically, intellectually, and spiritually. And so we praise our great mother. We stand at your side, we stand at your back, and we walk in front of you to protect you.
Wow. So, Baba Small, what is your take about the new president of Namibia? She's standing strong. She said to Donald Trump, if you slap me with the visa, I'll slap you back. What is your analysis of this great queen? She's been a freedom fighter. Obviously, people don't really pay attention, but she's been a freedom fighter of Namibia. And then now she's the president. She took office not long ago, about weeks ago, and she said, ain't no more you sliding in Germany, British, come here in my country thinking that this is a backyard. Now you're going to have to face it, and then we're going to have a visa in order for you to come to my country. What is your stand, Baba Small?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to make America or Trump and them that important. They're not that significant. What is significant is that our great mother leader, who was the revolutionary comrade, I did work very closely with SWAPO. I never knew her personally, but I helped train many young people in America who went back home to fight for SWAPO, who were from Namibia. And so that has always been a kind of special place to my heart. And Yomo, when he came to America, like many, the PAC did it for many who came to the UK, we hid him out from the authorities for years before he could go back to Namibia. And it was wonderful when he became the first president of Namibia. He came to America to thank us for having helped to protect him. So the queen who was part of the soldier then, who was soldiering in the bush with the gun in her hand, the SWAPO, is now the president of her nation. She's going to be a great president, probably the greatest president. And this statement on visa is not even the most significant, even though it is a significant one. Her statement on moving to change the economic arrangement with the West, you see, because Namibia had taken a pathway of not dismantling the institutions of apartheid and imperialism right away. They slowly have dismantled it. And I think now what we are going to see is the recreation, the rebirthing of an economic system, right, and a political system in Namibia that reflects the struggle of SWAPO and the people of Namibia. And no one is better suited to lead them than one of the mothers who, as a young lady, fought in the bush with the guns in her hands to free her country from the Germans and the South Africans.
Wow. What about this giant here? Now, Nana Jane. She's obviously the country that you have a real close relation in Africa, which is Ghana. Now she's soaring as the very first ever vice president of Ghana. And then we've seen the Ghanaian leaders, queen mothers, are really stepping up into the cultural, the politics environment. Now you having a vice president of Ghana. What is your take, Bob Small?
Well, we're seeing more and more of a shift from Western culture to African culture in terms of how we approach political development. And, you know, in Ghana particularly, the Queen Mother has an extraordinary role, a powerful role in selecting leadership in the indigenous and traditional corridors. And to see more involvement. We had seen the involvement of the women and the level just under presidency and vice presidency. But now we're seeing them rise to the vice presidency and rising to the presidency. And watching Nana Jane come to power, and the ANC is a party, not the ANC, the NDC is a party I've always supported. I was very close to President Rawlings. He's my brother, my younger brother, my friend, now my ancestor, who I love very much, even as an ancestor. And I got to know a lot about the working of the leadership of that party and their attempts to restore the integrity of the pathway that Nkrumah was trying to bring the country to. See, a lot of people forget that we had this extraordinary visionary called Nkrumah, and the American CIA overthrew him and pushed him out of his country and destabilized Ghana for decades. I mean, after they overthrew Nkrumah, they Nkrumah had already developed nuclear power, or was going towards. He had a nuclear reactor, and he wanted to bring nuclear power to power the country electrical grids. And that's part of why the Americans overthrew him. And the first thing they did, the first day of the overthrow, they went to Legon, and they took the nuclear reactor and put it on a plane and brought it to America. How many people even know that happened? And then they went around destroying the manufacturing infrastructure, the TV factory, the refrigerator factory, the shoe factories, all of the things that made Ghana self-sufficient. And so that vision of Nkrumah that dealt with indigenous industrialization, and that's a concept we must understand, indigenous industrialization and ownership of the means of production in your nation. That I see slowly coming back. And I see Nana Jane as being one of the leaders and advocate for Africans to own and control the means of production in their nation and not have so much of our nation in the hands of foreign investors. That concept that the West produced called privatizations a few years ago was a way to take control of our major industry, our water, our electricity, our highways. And we bought into that privatization thing. And they came in and bought up our countries. And now we're trying to take those things back. The essential institutions and industry of a nation should be owned by the people of that nation. And I think the NDC, and I think Nana Jane's great leadership as vice president, we've heard her, how strong she is, understanding that the West, this thing of USAID, that was always the CIA operation. It was the Central Intelligence Operation that replaced the Peace Corps, who was John Kennedy's intelligence operation to spy on Africa. And so you give me $10 and you take and you set up a library and you set up a little school and you pull the cream of my youth and you train them to spy against their own company with trips to America and training courses in America. And then you run them for political office back in our countries. We are aware of this, So aid, what kind of aid do you give me? You take $10 billion out of my nation and you give me $2 million, you're giving me aid. You ridiculous people. USAID being removed from Africa is probably the best thing that has happened in the last 40 years, 50 years.
Wow. Brothers and sisters, we now give Sister Mira, what is your last word to first Baba James Smalls and then to the community in Bristol and in the UK? But 1 minute word for Baba James Smalls. The floor is yours. Sister Queen Amira, Bristol.
So to Baba Small, I just want to say it's just been so wonderful to be on the show with you and to hear you speak. And I so look forward to you coming to Bristol and to meet you in person and to see you, speak to others in person. And to the community out there, I would say, you need to be there. You need to get down to Malcolm X. You need to see this elder speak along with the others. I don't think, if you miss this, I don't know when there will be another opportunity to have such 3 great, magnificent speakers at the Malcolm X Community Centre. So please, please, you know, come out, get your tickets and come out and come down to this centre and support this wonderful, wonderful event.
Wow. Baba, Brother Ndugu Al, what is your message to Baba James Smalls and to the African melanated community in the UK? The floor is yours, Baba Al.
Anna and Lance Lewis used to have the conferences. I think Baba Small came about 3 or 4 times, and whenever Baba Small was in the country, I think Paul used to bring him to Manchester. And you know, I know we won't have another opportunity to see a lineup like this again. So I advise you strongly to come out. You know, West Indian Centre on Carmore Road, the 25th, Sunday the 25th of May. We got entertainment, stalls, as Brother Ndugu says. Everything will be there. So I'm looking forward to see you buy your tickets and come and support the event. Thank you.
Wow. Same question to Ndugu Imani. What is your last message, your minute message to Baba James Smalls and to the entire African / melanated family here in the UK and around the world?
Yes, as first of all, as and Ndugu Al said, you know, MJ Small, you know, you've been my teacher, you've been my inspiration, you've been a guide, and so honored to have any relationship with you and to support your work and for you to support the Pan-African Congress movement. You know, this is a special time that's going to be. It's a special day today. We talk about the mothers. I want to give a shout out to on the call to, you know, more of our international support. Our dear sister queen, Janae Earl, who without her support all the way from Washington, D.C., we wouldn't be able to put on this event. So my sister, thank you for your just unlimited support and kindness for this group, for all the organizations working together. I want to say that, you know, that the Pan-African Congress movement has been led by a great sister queen, MJ Miami Olafemi, for many, many years. And we take our inspiration from her. And to all the mothers and all to the brothers and sisters out there, thank you for your support over the years. Thank you for, you know, staying with us. Thank you for being committed and being involved. And yes, as we've kept on saying, you won't see this lineup again in the same way. You know, we haven't seen anything like this for the last 4 years. You know, you need to get your tickets. You need to promote this to the brothers and sisters out there. Let them know that they're actually going to be here and that you need to be here. Get your tickets before they sell out. Go on to Eventbrite, take the link. If the link doesn't work, then look at on the flyer and you'll see that there's a name, a title, you know, the PACM 50 ALD. And this All Highness tour. It's all there on the flyer, and search that on the Eventbrite. Get your tickets. There are a limited number you can get on the door, or you can call us up and reserve your ticket at PACM. Again on the flyers, and that anybody who wants to sponsor and help with that, then contact the Pan-African Congress Movement at panafricancongressmovement@gmail.com. That's Pan-African Congress Movement. African spells a C rather than a K. Congress Movement @gmail.com. Send us a message, and let's work together to make this the tremendous seismic event, and also to celebrate 50 years of unbroken celebration and honoring of African liberation and supporting our people for the liberation, the total and unconditional liberation of Africa, African people, and our lands worldwide under a United States of Africa.
Wow. So, brothers and sisters, this is a AKA show for you. Don't miss out. 24th, 25th, 26th, And the 1st of June, UK, Baba James Smalls, His Majesty Changambiri Maponga, and then Her Majesty Mambokadzi. So please get your ticket. Support this amazing, as you saw the organizers, the coordinators, and we're talking about different organizations. Shout out to all the media partners as well, from Radio Galaxy to Radio Ujima, all of the media that be supporting Spread the Message. Buy your tickets, and your tickets is also supporting the community, supporting the liberation of our people. So that's the show for you, brothers and sisters. And then one more time, a special thanks to MZ, Baba James Smalls, to take the time, because we know where he's at right now is still in the morning. And then he did a great effort to come here and then share the message with us. And then we just having an apology as well for the assistant of His Majesty Maponga. The internet in Zimbabwe is totally shut down. So we understand what's going on, and we're definitely going to do everything to have him promoting this tour, because obviously it's not about us, it's about the community in general, globally. Thank you so much. As we're rolling the show for you, we're leaving you with the African unity. This is a video by one of our brother, African unity, as we closing this amazing gathering. See you next week. Remember, every week we're going to be here promoting this amazing tour for you. So one more time, share the message, brothers and sisters, as we live in African unity. These videos is going to be all over the internet. Share, download it, spread it into the community. This is yours. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week, aka show at Radio Diamond.
Africa. 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 13 and beyond. Militant family. Get down. This is a later. This one is a later. This is a later. From the ghetto youth preacher, Africa, we need to unite to make we stand tall. Africa, we need to come together to make we stand tall. Africa, we need to hold our hands to make we stand tall. Africa, we need to compromise. Whether you be Nigerian or Liberian, South African or Ethiopian, Egyptian or Ghanaian, Ivorian, Gambian, whether you be Zimbabwean or Zambian, Algerian or Malian, Chadian or Moroccan, we are Africans. Africa, we need to unite. Africa, we need to unite. For the musicians and the footballers, yeah, me know. Oneness and unity is what we need. Helping each other is what we need. Preaching and teaching is what we need. Yeah, to know Africa history. Deep in my heart, I feel pity to see African peace fighting. In my eyes, me see it clearly. How the fans making this interesting by insulting, Snapchatting, tweeting and Facebooking. This not be what you for do. You for make one make Africa rule. This be what we for do. Promoting our music, make it fly boom, make it fly boom. You for remember say, it be Africa we do.
It be Africa.
You for remember say, together we must come now fi play. Big up to Kojo Andy, Fela Kuti, Osibisa, Maria Minkeba, Yiti Mensa, Lucky Dubi, Ali Fakature, Alpha Bondi.
Africa, we need to unite to make we stand tall. Africa, we need to come together to make we stand tall. Africa, we need to hold our hands to make we stand tall. Africa, we
until we die. We are gonna make it, make it. Whether you be Nigerian or Liberian,